Good evening and welcome to Send Me, the groundbreaking podumentary hosted by Patricia Blake, a true pioneer in the world of policing. Join us as Patricia takes us on a captivating journey back to the early days of women in law enforcement, sharing her courageous experiences as one such trailblazer in Los Angeles, truly a trial by fire. From the challenges she faced to the triumphs that followed, Patricia will fearlessly open up about her remarkable career, breaking barriers and shattering stereotypes. As we delve into her acclaimed book, Touched by the Hand of God in the City of Angels, Send Me, we'll gain an even deeper understanding and insight into the real-life stories that inspired this extraordinary memoir. This is the series premiere, the first of 8 scheduled episodes, each one set up to shine a light on the world of law enforcement from Patricia's unique perspective. Get ready to be moved, to be inspired, and informed as we embark on this empowering journey with Patricia Blake on Send Me. The two of us on this end will be guiding the show. And for your information, it's not really about us. It's about Patricia, the woman of the hour. She'll be doing the heavy lifting. And of course, we have her here on the line right now. Good evening, Patricia. How are you?
Oh, I'm excited to be with both of you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we sure are excited to be here as well. It's been a long time coming, and I think that we've got some dynamite questions lined up for you, and this is going to provide the framework for something monumental, a real game changer. But we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's just jump right into it. First question, can you share with us what inspired you to join the Los Angeles Police Department back in 1983 and embark on a career in law enforcement?
Actually, there was a series of factors from childhood. I was the oldest of my brother and 2 sisters, and we were all 1 year apart. So it fell upon me to be the protector and to watch over my brother and sisters. And I held this innate sense of justice throughout my childhood as the protector and ensuring justice for my siblings. And we all played cops and robbers, and my favorite shows and heroes were the Jack Webb series, producer of the TV series Dragnet. His famous line, which is unforgettable, memorable, "Just the facts, ma'am." And Jack Webb's series, Adam 12, the rookie cop with the training officer. Jack Webb reflects a heartfelt support and respect for all police officers. That shined through in Adam 12 episode called What is a Cop?, where Jack Webb mentors the rookie, Jim Reed, when his girlfriend broke up with him because she felt police work was not good enough for their relationship. So after a lengthy description about all the negative downsides to the job, the long, thankless hours, the shift changes, the endless paperwork, and the fluid incidents that we handle, Jack Webb's deeply moving pride for Los Angeles police work shined through. I provided a quote, if you could read it for me.
There are over 5,000 men in this city who know that being a policeman is an endless, glamourless, thankless job that has got to be done. I know it too, and I'm damn glad to be one of them.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So in my childhood, I actually was a challenge for my parents because I was extremely tenacious. One example was my mom never left us except for with my grandparents or to go to church. And Mom didn't explain to me my first day of kindergarten at the age of 5 that she was going to leave me in the classroom. As she left the back door of the classroom, I was shocked. And the teacher, who was near me, grabbed me from behind by both arms and I instinctively twisted out of her grip. I mean, how dare this stranger grab me and keep me from my mother? So I turned to face her and instinctively kicked her in the leg as hard as how hard can a 5-year-old kick? The teacher removed me from my first day of kindergarten. So I was expelled from my first day of kindergarten and placed with another teacher the next day. But Mom learned from that lesson because she ensured that she left all 4 of us with family members and my grandparents more often to avoid a repeat with my younger siblings for their first day of kindergarten. And then as a young teenager, I had just turned 19. I had gotten married to my spouse of 4 months who had came home from 2 tours in the war in Vietnam. And back in the early 70s, there was not the understanding of PTSD like there is now with our military warriors and with our law enforcement. And all first responders are subjected to abnormal stress and situations in the field. So my husband had PTSD, extreme depression, and he was an alcoholic and physically abusive. So I realized early on that it wasn't going to work out. And I came home from seeing my parents one evening, and he took out a rifle from the bedroom closet. And I was already terrified of him to begin with because he had tried to run the car on my side along a cement barrier about 50 feet up on a bridge. He would jump out from behind the doors to grab me and scare me, just to terrify me. I was just in fear of him. And when he took the rifle out, I believed he was going to kill me. So I separated immediately into the adjacent bathroom to de-escalate the situation. And I locked the door. And then I don't even know how long later, that it was within a minute, I heard the sound of the gunshot. And then I was in the shower at the time and kind of collapsed and just sheer terror. And I finally was able to move and open the door, and I didn't see him at first, which is terrifying because the way he had grabbed me in the past, I immediately saw a blood mist engulf the bedroom and like brain tissue and bone. So when I identified where he was lying on the floor, he was between the other side of the bed and on the floor, and there's a closet along the wall. The rifle was laying on top of him, and the police investigation later determined that he had put the rifle under his chin and pulled the trigger. I was young, and I was in shock, and I'd never witnessed anything like that before. And my parents came out, and the police, after they investigated, they found several bottles of alcohol in the trash that he had drank before I came home. The police released me to my parents. But the reason why I consider this a life-changing experience that changed the trajectory and the path of my life, because I was in the back seat of the car and I was filled with this incredible grief and horror, and my mind was fragmenting and it was plunging. All I could think was, why didn't he kill me first? And I did not instinctively turn to God or pray, just thinking he's too busy taking care of all the other people in the world needing him. I was in the back seat of the car. My dad was driving. It was the first time I saw my dad cry.
Oh boy.
And he was a World War II vet, and he was a warrior. He was a hero.
Yeah.
And he was so strong. So I'm in the back seat, and I felt this distinctive pressure of a hand, and it felt like a man's hand to me, but I never heard any voice. I never saw any visual, but I knew there was a pressure of a hand on my right shoulder from behind. Instantaneously, all my grief and my desperation was replaced with this incredible sense of a higher power that filled me with absolute peace, absolute undeniable comfort, and just complete love.
Yeah.
I can only describe the feeling but it was undeniable to me. And I felt that my Creator and His angels were riding in the backseat of that car with me. It was just an undeniable miracle that was unexpected. And to this day, it's still impossible to capture and describe in words because it was so surreal. And it was like almost supernatural, but definitely not of this earth or anything that I've ever experienced. And I had felt the absolute power of God's grace and His love, a higher power. We use the term God or the Lord or Jesus. It was absolutely a higher power. People that have near-death experiences describe consistent factors that match. When they experience this, they are torn. They're deeply torn between staying in that, you can call it heaven or grace, or going back to things that still needed, that were uncompleted, like raising their children and their family, and unfinished things that are waiting for them back on earth. And this was so powerful to me. I never talked about this experience for over 40 years, even with family members, but it just deeply impacted me. The combination of my childhood and this life-changing experience, it set the trajectory and my path. And I believe that from the day we are born, God has a purpose for us. Mm-hmm. And I believe that God called me and guided me and led me into the honor to help the innocent and the vulnerable as a first responder. And my personal belief is that the Lord sends angels to watch over and protect all of our first responders, including the military, our law enforcement personnel, our firefighters, EMTs, and our medical and our paramedics. He also sends first responders as angels to protect those in their darkest time of grief and desperation, like during the Twin Towers. And unhesitantly, first responders, rescuers, and officers sacrifice their safety and their lives for total strangers during this horrible attack. These rescuers rescued thousands of citizens in their darkest time of need. I think they were angels. They're heroes. It's just unspeakable, the terror that these poor people must have experienced. I researched a little bit of that, and the total number of heroes, our fire rescuers and paramedics that were killed that day, were 343. And the total number of NYPD officers was 23. And the number of Port Authority officers was 37. The number of total deaths was over 2,970. And countless employees and citizens were heroes on instinct.
What were some of the unique challenges you faced during your earlier years as a LAPD officer?
With the Los Angeles Police Department, there were unique challenges up until the early 1980s that our sisters in blue that came before us were genuine trailblazers on the department. In 1909, Alice Stubbins was the first police woman. And back then, their duties were not normal field duties. They were known as matrons or workers in Los Angeles with arrest powers, but they were not classified as police officers. Actually, the LAPD badges had the word policeman imprinted on their department-issued badge, and police women had the word police woman imprinted on their department-issued badge. This differentiated the classification. So prior to 1973, LAPD had two separate gender-based job classifications, and men performed police field assignments and could be promoted to all ranks. However, police women did not work regular field assignments of those of their male counterparts.
Right.
So they took care of the women and the children, desk duty, administrative duties, and they were barred actually from promotion above the level of sergeant. And police women had a different uniform. They carried their gun in their purse, and they were issued a formal hat that was different, a skirt and a jacket and a blouse uniform. So it was basically women's attire. In 1973, LAPD abandoned the sex-segregated job classifications and formed the single entry-level position known as police officers. But interestingly, historically, in 1971, then LAPD Chief Ed Davis openly expressed in a meeting where females were present a statement to the effect that real police work should be done by men. And the females' biggest drawback was they have monthlies. Well, that comment, as you can imagine, didn't go over real well. Yeah. And it created a firestorm. And there was a policewoman, Patricia Blake, no relation, by the way. But no, she was very courageous. She stood up.
Well, you have that in common.
She took on the whole department. And she was actually furious with the chief's callous remark. That was the trigger that started the war.